Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to this WYATT 6 video. This is where we're going to take a look at everything that went down regarding the WYATT 6. So obviously we had Chad arrive at the start. This was big because obviously he was attacked last week. And again, I think that was a bit of a misstep by WWE. They didn't get the message out that no one was killed. And we just kept getting these references all week about how there's been murders and how this group was meant to be based in reality, but now they've arrived and they're killing people. For the record, I don't think they killed anyone. Right? I don't think they killed anyone. And that's clearly visible by the fact here that Chad Gable, the only talent that we believe was actually caught up in that massacre last week, apart from enhancement talent, right? Security guards and producers, whatnot, right? Chad Gable was the only known wrestler that was caught up in that. And here he is competing this week, right? I do think WWE could have made that a little bit clearer. And they could have got that message out last week. I think they probably were quite happy to let people speculate, but it did get a little bit silly, to be honest, some of the stuff that people were saying. At no point did I think anyone had been murdered, right? But seemingly people out there did. So good to see him. Good to see that he's alive and well. And obviously we were just waiting to hear if he was going to be cleared, right? And the belief was that he would be, and he was. Like, Adam Pearce would go and visit him. Said he was a little bit shaken up about last week, but he was cleared. The other thing that happened is that he walked past a trailer that had Alexa Bliss on the sides, which they really made sure was kind of in the middle of the shot. They made it like very, very clear that Alexa was on the side of the truck. They even paused and she was right in the center. So I did get the impression that they were trying to make sure that you saw that, right? A little bit annoying because here in the UK, we actually didn't get that moment. We cut to commercial break, so that was quite frustrating. But I was able to find the clip online and catch it from there. And then obviously we got to this bit. This is the bit that's the first juicy bit, shall we say. This is where we actually got NIKKI interrupting Chad. Chad made his way down to the ring just before this and was kind of gloating in a way, which I must admit I wasn't too keen on him doing, because I think if you've been confronted by the WYATT 6, I don't think you should be really thinking of anything other than I never want to go through that experience again. So him kind of coming down saying I'm back from the dead, you can't keep me down, gloating in a way, like, you know, kind of showing that he hadn't changed his mind on anything. He was still, you know, the Chad Gable that irritates us. I was like, yeah, I don't know that I would have gone that way. I think it would have been better if he'd have come down, kept his mouth shut, just sort of got in the ring, didn't want to talk about anything, and we kind of went from there, right? So we get to the match. It's him against Big Bronson Reed against Braun Strowman. It's a win for Chad Gable. And then the lights go out. Then the smoke comes into the ring. And again, I'm not sure I would have had the smoke, but whatever. Then we got NIKKI. NIKKI looks amazing. NIKKI looks so good, right? She gets into the ring and basically Chad kind of backs off into the corner. She then, we get to see the fireflies, which look amazing. So he backs into the corner. We get all these fireflies. She then goes out the ring. She grabs a box that was on the outside of the ring and she delivers it to Michael Cole, right? Now, this box was addressed to Pat, but obviously Pat wasn't there tonight. So it was Michael that had to deal with this. And he said, like, he opens it, pulled it out. It was a videotape, VHS tape that said, "Play me." So he said, I'll give this to the production truck and we'll have a look at it. So that was the first part. The second part was incredible. I mean, it really was. There is the videotape. So here you can see the box. He opens it. It says "Play me." It's a VHS tape. And so we had to wait till later to find out what was on it. And what was on it was absolutely incredible, right? Here's Chris saying, holy shiz, this segment was intense. Now, I can tell you that on our live stream watch along last week, the massacre scored 94% amazing. The very top option, 94%. Whatever they did this week was not going to get that score, okay? So whatever they did, I was not expecting that. But I can tell you that this promo got 72% amazing. So in my mind, if the question is asked, were they able to follow up last week with something that captivated and something that satisfied the second week? I think they did. I really think they did. 72% amazing. That's the top option that we have during our live streams. Is incredible, right? Absolutely incredible. So the fact they were able to follow up last week is a massive, massive dub, right? So what was this? Well, what it was obviously it was a promo. So this was a promo between Uncle Howdy and Bo Dallas, right? So, I mean, here's a screenshot from it whilst this loads. So here you can see the screenshot from it. So this, obviously, Uncle Howdy sat there with Bo Dallas. It would be revealed that it was actually in the Firefly Funhouse. And that was obviously very, very interesting. Very interesting. That wouldn't be revealed until the very end, though. There was a few other bits of imagery and whatnot that was in there. But basically, I've got it transcribed as to what was said. And it feels like a lot of this was questions that the therapist asked in the Twitch video, right? Are you happy? How have you been since the loss? Do you feel like you've been forgotten? Do you remember who you are? All of these questions were Howdy asking them to Taylor. Howdy asking to Taylor. Taylor answered, I'm nobody. Uncle Howdy said, how did you feel when your brother died? Which, I don't know about you, that for me was the moment where this just went, oh. I mean, it's funny because when we started the live stream, the Raw live stream, I said, what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for something quite personal. I'm looking for a vignette. I'm looking for something. I don't think we needed another massacre this week, because if you did another massacre this week, it would just be compared to last week. And last week was so well received that I think that you might run the risk of diminishing returns if you do it again this week. So I was looking for something different. I was looking for something that would tell people that didn't scan the QR codes and maybe haven't seen the Bray documentary, kind of give people an insight into who these people are and what's going on. And I think this was a really good starting point. So that question of how did you feel when your brother died? And this was answered by Taylor Bo Dallas, right? He said, it was like the most important thing in my life had been taken away from me. He said it's like nothing would matter ever again. And then the question was asked, and this I think is a real underrated moment. Do you feel like you're exploiting your brother's legacy? I think this is quite meta, right? Because this is Uncle Howdy asking Bo that by continuing, are you just exploiting your brother's legacy? Which is really weird because, I mean, we're seeing Howdy, who is a Bray creation, asking Bray's brother if by them continuing, they are exploiting Bray's legacy. I mean, it is a bit inside baseball, but it's very interesting because I think what I like about this is that you could imagine that all of this was happening within Bo's mind. I don't know that it is, by the way, right? I don't know that it is because this was all on a videotape, so I don't know quite how you would show inside Bo's mind. And I know what people are going to say. People are going to say, well, the funhouse was inside Bray's mind, and that was shown. And you would be perfectly correct. But they have said that they're trying to root this group more in reality. They're not trying to do any supernatural stuff or anything along those lines. So I don't know quite how showing inside someone's mind would play in 2024, right? I mean, the Firefly Funhouse was 2019. That was 5 years ago. It was Vince. We're in a different place now. So I don't know that that's quite what we were doing here. I don't know if this was a look inside Bo's mind. It very well could be. Or if this was a bit of camera trickery and this is Bo trying to answer some of those difficult questions that he is asking himself. Because that really is what we've got going on here. This is Bo talking to Bo. This is Howdy talking to Taylor. But in many ways, this is him talking to him. And I think it's very interesting that he asks himself that question of, are you exploiting your brother's legacy? Because I feel like that is a question he will have asked himself. Before he started on this journey, I'm pretty sure he will have wondered and pondered that question. And I think it's actually something that haters have pondered as well. So I thought that was very interesting that it got brought up here. Very interesting. I was very interested in the answer. And the answer was, all I ever wanted was to be like my brother. I looked up to him. We were going to rule together, and we had that, and then it was taken away. There is no one that feels more hurt from his loss. So what am I supposed to do now? Become a mausoleum? They wanted to forget about us, forget all of us, but we made them remember. So I thought that was really interesting. I mean, like, I feel like he has pondered whether this is the right thing to do. And I think he's come to the realization that he loved his brother. No one feels the pain of his loss more than him. And he wants to keep this going, right? He wants to remind everyone as to who they are, but also remind everyone of his work. So I really like that. I really like that. I think there's, you know, this is not long. It only goes for about 4 minutes. And obviously there's a lot of pausing in there, some other imagery that comes in there. But I got to tell you, man, this was so well received. So well received. It was, I think it was exactly what was needed this week, to be honest. So I feel like there's a fair few things to jump into. I pulled a few things and chucked them into a folder so we can dig into some of those thoughts and theories that people had, right? This is one from the other day, actually, before we get stuck into that. This is Erase Your Mind. Said this might be one of the biggest reaches, but what the heck? But the WYATT SICKS mask, I don't think we've seen yet, seems to nicely overlap on Adam Pearce's face. Not the 6th member, but could it be controlling him? Now, I can't say that we've seen any evidence of that from tonight's Raw, but obviously there has been some very interesting stuff happening on his social media accounts. There are a few question marks around this mask here. I don't quite know what this mask fits yet, personally. I mean, I feel like it might be the mask that's on the back of Rowan, but I think looking at that, the eyes look to be in a different place. There are people that have got a theory that this is the Mercy mask, but I can't quite get that to fit personally. So yeah, I'm still a little bit confused as to what that mask is. And it did seem to overlap with Adam Pearce's face quite well. So certainly I agree, Adam Pearce, I'm not looking for him to be the 6th member or anything like that. There is seemingly something strange going on there, though. But as we said, nothing that showed itself tonight. That has now led to a lot of people asking this question. WrestleMania saying, do we think Adam Pearce is possessed by the Wyatt Six already? Adam Pearce, though, categorically saying no, right? That was on Sunday. So he came out and was like, no. But we know that his account has been getting hacked. Eric said, I'm not sure if you've covered these, but I saw on Jason Baker's Instagram post a few days ago for Bray's birthday, and there was a lot of awesome, interesting behind-the-scenes photos that I thought you might enjoy seeing. So there's Bray with Uncle Howdy, and look how far we've come with this Uncle Howdy mask. I mean, this Uncle Howdy mask is crazy because this was the very first one that we saw. And if you think about the Howdy that we've got now compared to this, I mean, it's so different. So different how far this character has evolved, because this was like Uncle Howdy version 1, right? Then, of course, like we had this mask around, which was a bit of a different mask, this one. This is the one that we would see on TV screens and everything, but and one that Bray was wearing when we first saw him. But this was the actual Uncle Howdy face that we got at first. So we got that. This is Bray, obviously for a mask that's being made. And yeah, that was just a really cool behind-the-scenes picture. There you can see Bray. There's Jason Baker. There's Bruce Pritchard's. I mean, I don't know if these are the people that were controlling the puppets when the Funhouse episodes were being filmed. But, I mean, how amazing if you was one of these people that had worked on that. So, yeah, these are just some images from Jason Baker's Instagram, which I agree, absolutely fascinating. Behind-the-scenes images there. So, Eric, shout out to you. Here's Brady just showing off the Alexa Bliss that was in the background. That was shown as Caden and Katana arrived. Alexa as well with eyes emoji. She spotted herself in the background as Caden and Katana arrived. So Alexa was aware of that. Chad Gable is alive. So here we've got Chad. And again, he didn't want to talk. And as he's going up the ramp, you can see there is Alexa. And you can see the camera actually stops and keeps Alexa sort of in the middle. Look, Chad walks past, but the camera stays on Alexa. So that point I made about how I really feel like they wanted you to see her. I mean, the camera really kept her kind of in the center there. So that was one of the first things that we saw. Uncle Guy said Chad was touching his head where he was shot. I'm not sure he was shot, but it is true. He was kind of touching his head as the smoke was coming in and Nikki was starting to make her presence felt. So that's a nice little callback as his head was kind of, you know, those memories were coming back of last week. Zach said possibly every week we could see therapy sessions from Howdy for each member in the Wyatt Six, mourning over the death of Bray. Thoughts? Well, this is something that was spoken about during our live stream. I can't remember if it was Lewis or who raised it, but during our live stream, this was mentioned. I mean, it feels like a no-brainer that every week we will get a different member sitting down being interviewed. But the question was asked, is it going to be Howdy that's going to be doing the interviews, or will it be the masked persona of the person being questioned? So, for example, when it's time to do Huskus, is Huskus going to ask the questions of Joe Gacy? Or will it be Howdy that talks to Joe Gacy, right? I actually don't know the answer to that. But what I think is quite interesting is that if you've not followed the QR codes, this is an excellent way of showing you who is behind the masks. So it would make sense to have Nikki in her mask, right, as Abby interviewing Nikki Cross, right? That would be interesting to have the person interview themselves. So I could see them going down those roads. Equally, I could see Howdy interviewing the different members. But I think if you do it like Abby interviewing Nikki, you're sort of showing the character we see on TV and then the person who's playing her. And that's important because not everybody has been doing the QR codes. Not everybody knows who the members of this group are. So it's a great way of kind of bringing people up to speed, you know. Although it has been pointed out, well, you know, Coach Co said, does that mean that Dexter Lumis is going to talk? And that might be a little bit of an issue. I don't know if questions will be asked and answered using drawings as to whether he will talk or not. I think I would not have him talk. I think I would actually do it through drawings, sort of, or maybe just writing it down and then writing the answers down rather than having him talk. Because to be honest, there's not loads of dialogue. There's not loads of stuff here. And actually, a lot of the questions that can be asked can be pre-planned, can't they? So they just hold them up and it's already written. And then, you know, Dexter can just give pretty short answers in response. So, I don't know. I feel like we could go both ways with that. We could have Howdy ask the questions or the character ask the questions. Past and present, says Uncle Guy. That was that segment. Swingman Lou. So Bray Wyatt Forever says, holy, they're doing a jigsaw type thing with Uncle Howdy. This is what I wanted. The VHS tape with Play Me being in the box, I thought was very, very good. Very good. And what we actually ended up getting was, you know, amazing. Here you can see Alexa. Scorched Bliss said there are 2 hints of Alexa return today. It gives me hope that it will be soon. Well, I'm expecting it to be SummerSlam personally, but yeah. Mika Rotunda just an hour ago. Look, full circle and heartbroken. That is Bray and Bo's sister. Uncle Guy said throughout the video, Howdy was biting his lips and using the hand with the Bray glove on. So I don't know what the biting of the lip thing is. But yeah, the Bray glove being shown. There was an image of the Bray glove which interrupted the video at one point, only very quick. And again, you can see him wearing it there. These are some of the imageries. So these are the photos from tonight we got. Thought you might find these interesting, said Words of Red. Words of Red, shout out to you. I think this one's quite interesting. Again, I feel like we've not seen this. You can sort of see where the nose would be. And you can see the eyes here. I mean, I really feel like this feels like it is the skull that's on the back of Eric Rowan. But I'm not quite satisfied with that. I'm wondering if this is Uncle Harper and we just have not been introduced to Uncle Harper yet. I just, yeah, this one I think is really interesting. Really interesting. Don't know what this is. I'm not sure that this, I don't know that this is anything that special, to be honest. This is a number, and there was a couple of numbers. People have said that it's 28 and 25, and I must admit that does look like a 5. I mean, I was looking at it, and it looked to me like it was 29, and then it became 28. It looked like it was counting down, right? And that's quite interesting, because we might see that continue to count down as we get closer towards the arrival of either Uncle Harper or Alexa Bliss. But another theory is that if this is 25 and 28, I believe the 25th is NXT, which is probably today at the time of you watching this. And the 28th, I'm told, is Friday. That's correct. That would be SmackDown. So if the 25th and the 28th are those two numbers, does that mean we might get some on NXT and we might get something on SmackDown? To be crystal, at the moment, I mean, I've watched it a couple of times. I think it's 29 that then turns into 28. I think it's like a clock that is counting down. But again, interesting. Let's unfull screen that. Snoop Coop said, I don't know if it's anything, but I noticed at the start and at the end of the VHS, it only shows the Nightbird now. No Pluto symbol. I think it does show the WYATT 6 symbol, but it is true at the start. I believe it is just the Nightbird symbol. Could it be because Howdy is Pluto and he has arrived? Alexa is Nightbird and she is yet to. I thought that was a really fun theory. The Heckler said, my theory, Bray had the Firefly Funhouse and it was colourful and full of puppets and fun. This is in Bo's head and it's all dark and depressing and it's full of grief. I imagine they may do Bo's version of it, which will be much darker. This will be great. So, again, you don't see much of it. I mean, it's really just this. I think you can see a little bit of the window and a little bit of a picture. But really, it's the door with the abandon all hope ye who enter here. So, again, you know, is this inside Bo's head? Is this what we've just seen? Or was this just a bit of camera trickery? Because there was that moment which we went a little bit inside baseball where Howdy said, are you exploiting Bray's legacy? So it wouldn't be a shock to me if they filmed this in the funhouse and it's not meant to be in his head. It's just, you know, him, I suppose, trying to weigh up whether this is the right thing to do or not. And he's inside the funhouse set, you know, kind of feeling that connection with Bray, if you will. I do love that theory, though, that this is inside Bo's head and that's why it's darker. I think that's very clever. So we got that theory. Here's Wrestling Rianne, who said, after slowly pausing the video to try and spot any hidden images, I was able to find some more pictures of the group and members from individual angles. Let's go full screen. So here you can see an image. It looks like he's wearing glasses there, but he's not. So there's Howdy. There's another Howdy image. Here we've got Huskus. There is that, like, Uncle Harper kind of creature. Here's Mercy. And there is Abby, of course. I don't know if there was one of the rabbit. I'm sure there must have been. But obviously we got this. This is of the whole family together, which is a really cool image. That I think that looks awesome. Really, I love this shot right here. There, we've got the whole group together. And I agree. I think we're going to do more interviews where we explore the other members. I don't know that there's going to be anything for them at Money in the Bank, right? Maybe they do stop Chad from winning it because he hasn't really repented, if you will. Although afterwards, after that encounter with Nikki, he did go backstage and sort of said, guys, I need you and all this, and seemed to kind of reach back out to the Alpha Academy. They obviously weren't interested. I mean, you know, they've been really let down. And then the Creeds were there and Ivy was there. And so it seems like he's going in that direction. So it'll be very interesting to see where all of this leads. Be very interesting to see where it all leads. But yeah, maybe this WYATT family, WYATT 6, are going to stop Chad. But equally, I could see them just focusing over the next few weeks on different vignettes as we get to learn a bit more about these characters. And then I think they could go after someone. And then that starts the build towards SummerSlam. So we had all of that imagery. Right, here's Tom, who said, my question is, who filmed it? Before, it was the therapist. We saw her start the camera. Is this Sister Abigail filming Uncle Howdy? I've got so many questions. Well, I don't think it's Sister Abigail. Only because she is, I mean, in my mind, she's not with us anymore. I mean, obviously we could bring her back, but that would be a whole process. I sort of feel like at the moment, I don't know what's stopping them for just pressing record themselves and then sitting down and talking, you know? So at the moment, I don't know that anyone was filming it. But I like this question because it made me think of something I hadn't thought of. Who's filming it? Which is a very good question to ask. But I don't know if we ever like really move around. It could just be cameras on tripods and they just press record and then sit down and off they go. So at the moment, I'm not sure anyone is. But definitely something to think about. Magic Dax said the numbers shown were 28-25, which is the date for NXT and SmackDown. I'm not expecting them to show, but we might get more videos. So Magic Dax, shout out to you, my friends. It was Magic Dax that came up with this theory, and I like it. I think it's 29 that turns into 28, and it's a countdown. But listen, I'm doing NXT. The watch along for it, and I'll definitely be keeping my eyes peeled. I know that much. So here was Michael Cole opening up the box and getting the tape. This was interesting. SlamX and Specs just asking the question, is that a mask? I can't tell, to be honest. I can't tell if it's a mask. I mean, you really can't make much out. I mean, there is something on the top there, but I don't know if that's a mask. The only thing I would say is, I mean, it would make sense if it was. We saw a lot of puppets backstage last week. I didn't see anything backstage this time, apart from that Alexa. You know, I didn't see any puppets or anything. I was quite surprised about that. So if it turns out that that was a mask, might not be that surprising. So, interesting. We do have the glitches. I mean, I'm sure, there we go, look. You all spotted them. There we go. That's as Chad was getting into the ring. All of his graphics glitched just before the start. Uncle Guy, shout out to you. Here's Maverick, who said, I remember that promo of Bray saying, I am Uncle Howdy. This segment took place in the Firefly Funhouse, which was in Bray's mind. And if Uncle Howdy can access it, then it has to be a piece of Bray that lives on, unless there's an element that I'm missing. I mean, I've got two thoughts on this. My first thought is it could be that Bo is picturing the Funhouse and is doing the interview in his version of the Funhouse, which is why, as it was mentioned earlier, this is a darker, depressed Funhouse as a result. So this could be in Bo's mind. It could also be that this is in the actual physical Funhouse where Bray recorded, and, you know, we're trying to base this a bit more in reality. You could beg the question then and ask the question, well, why have we got Howdy talking to Bo when these are the same person? But this can be quite simply camera trickery, right? This is not a difficult thing to achieve at all. So there's nothing here that has to be inside of a mind or supernatural. We can go down those roads. And I do like the theory of when Bray was with the Funhouse was all colour, now is not, it's all dark and it's depressed. I do like that. But at the moment, I don't know what they're trying to communicate to us. It's a little bit hard to know at the moment. We're still trying to work out where the boundaries are, if you will. Bryce said, my wife pointed out something interesting. Bo was wearing the same thing he wore in the Bray documentary, and he even answered some of the same questions, but delivered the answers differently. Did Howdy interview Bo for the documentary? I tell you what, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be amazing if we found out that in some way that documentary was connected even more than we knew at the time to what was going to follow? That would have been amazing. So I thought this was a really interesting comment from Bryce. So Bryce, shout out to you. Shout out to your wife as well. We had a look at this one. And then the other thing we got is this. So this is the new WYATT 6. If we click on it, this is the new WYATT 6 19,000 followers account. And apparently this is legit because WWE retweeted this tweet from 7 hours ago. So you can see it's been viewed nearly 750,000, over 750,000. So here, look, this was before Raw, right? And here you can see all the different members. I don't think there's anything here that is like cryptic or anything. It feels like all the members and just being filmed, like flashing lights. And you can see we've got reds and a little bit of blue at some points and flashing white in there as well. I mean, it's cool effect and everything. It's a cool little video. But I don't think there's anything like cryptic here that we necessarily need to read into, or certainly not that I'm aware of. And it's just 30-odd seconds that keeps looping rounds. But to my knowledge, this is the official WYATT Twitter account. So something to follow if you don't already. And there was WWE retweeting it out. Look. There we go. So yeah, there we go. I mean, not loads to talk about, but equally a few bits to talk about there. Brilliant promo. Brilliant promo. Really enjoyed it. And honestly, I think they did manage to follow the week before. I don't know if everyone's going to feel that way. I don't think this will get as much praise as what the Arrival did. But equally, they didn't drop the ball here, right? So it's another thumbs up and on we go. And actually, I think they've kind of really set up a nice template for maybe the next few weeks as well. So onwards and upwards we go. I'd love to know your thoughts. I will, on Twitter, ask for your opinion as to what you saw and if you enjoyed it. And so we'll do like a separate video on the second channel for that. So that should be up at some point on Tuesday. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Quite a few bits to kind of tiptoe through there. And normally we've got one QR code and we can just dig into it. Here we've got lots of little bits throughout the show and whatever. So, lots of stuff to kind of get our teeth into here. But yeah, if obviously there's other thoughts and theories, I'll gather them together and try and get something out for you tomorrow as well. Thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate the support. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.